Statements by members. Déclaration de député à l'ordre.
Order. The Honourable Member for Manicouagan. Mr. Speaker, today is National Aboriginal Day, and with my Abenaki roots in mind, myself and all members of the Bloc Québécois wish to honour the Métis, the First Nations, and Inuit peoples. Without Quebec, there would still be Aboriginal people, but without Aboriginal people, there would certainly not be a Quebec. It would be impossible to list all that we owe them. From Natashquan to Waswanipi, their presence has defined and allowed our own presence. And we remain incredibly grateful to our Indigenous brothers and sisters, and we find that in the Pays des Braves. Can we say the same in Ottawa? When Indigenous languages, even in this House, are not respected, when communities have to face violence and suicide, when children don't have access to drinkable water or equal education, when women are still the subject of discrimination. Well, it's clear. Today is the opportunity to remember everything that we owe to Indigenous peoples, and it's also time to demand that the government do everything that it must do, and that it do it now. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Alfred Pellan. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The parliamentary session is drawing to a close, and I would like to thank all of the constituents that I've met since January. In the hundreds of meetings and activities that I've been to in the riding, I've met and discussed with many incredible and devoted people. Since January, I've spoken 21 times in the House on behalf of my constituents, whether it be with speeches, with statements, or by asking questions in question period, and I voted 150 times. I participated in 27 committee meetings and spoke out over 180 times during 7 different studies, and I helped write 3 reports on subjects that affect all Canadians. I am grateful and humbled to be able to do this work on behalf of the people of Laval and Alfred Pellan, and I'm looking forward to seeing all of you this summer as we celebrate our 150th anniversary as a country. Happy Fête Nationale, happy Canada Day.
Member for Calgary Shepherd.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This year marks the 20th anniversary of the Victory Foundation, an organization in my riding that works with Calgary's homeless. Their Ogden location offers housing, food, support programs, and a social environment that allows people to overcome life's obstacles and integrate into the community. The foundation has reached incredible milestones. In 2015 alone, they provided 82,000 meals and housed over 100 people without a place to call home. And as of this year, they have raised over $700,000 towards a new women's affordable housing unit. To mark their anniversary next week, the foundation is holding an art show with artist Lloyd Hall, one of the residents who serves as a symbol for what people can achieve when support is available. I want to recognize the Victory Foundation CEO, Pastor Don Delaney, for his continued commitment to help Calgary's less fortunate. I thank him for his leadership and encourage fellow Calgarians to support the Victory Foundation's ongoing efforts in Ogden. Their goal should be our goal. Put up a fence to keep people from falling into the ditch of homelessness.
Yeah. Beautiful.
The Honourable Member for Steveston, Richmond East.
Speaker, the men and women of the Canadian Coast Guard work hard every day to ensure the safety of Canadians, mariners, and the marine environment. Our government knows how much British Columbians value the Sea Island Dive Team, and I'm extremely pleased that they will remain in Richmond at the Sea Island base. With last summer's reopening of the Kitsilano Coast Guard Station and the announcement of the historic Oceans Protections Plan, the waters in and around Metro Vancouver are safer than ever. Mr. Speaker, with new investments of nearly $3 billion into their core operations, the Department of Fisheries and Oceans and the Canadian Coast Guard will continue delivering critical services to Canadians, services that save lives, protect the marine environment, create jobs, and drive sustainable economic growth.
The Honourable Member for North Island Powell River.
Mr. Speaker, in my riding of North Island Powell River, Aboriginal Day celebrations are happening everywhere across the region. For example, the multiple activities at the Comox Big House sharing cultural practices and art, in Port Hardy, where the municipality, Quaquiro, Guasala, Naquado, and Quatsino First Nations will be unveiling murals addressing 150 years of Canada. The opening of the day in the Big House in Campbell River, followed by multiple activities at Spirit Square, and in Powell River, the Métis Association's events at Wellington Beach with a barbecue to honor Auntie Elsie Paul at Tliamin Elder. But most importantly today, I hope all members in this House remember, today we celebrate But reconciliation does not truly start until the harm ends. It does not start until the story of Aboriginal people becomes a story all Canadians know. As Lee Miracle wrote so wisely, the stories that really need to be told are those that shake the very soul of you. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Scarborough Centre.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to recognize St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church in my riding of Scarborough Centre, which recently celebrated its 199th anniversary. This is a big year as Canada celebrates its 150th birthday, but it's quite something to think that this church predates Confederation by 49 years. In the 1800s, the area that today is Scarborough had only recently had its first European settlers and was largely a collection of small rural villages and farms. From village to borough, from horse and buggy to steam train to subway, St. Andrews has been there. Through it all, they have been tending to the spiritual needs of the community through weddings and funerals, baptisms and Sunday schools, feeding the hungry and comforting the grieving. It is a remarkable history of service. I congratulate St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church on 199 years of worship, of service, of fellowship. Thank you.
Honourable Member for Elgin Middlesex London.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the hard work and dedication of 40 incredible young individuals, the House of Commons pages. They have been hard at work all year, making our time in this place run smoothly. They have supported all members in the House to carry out the important task that allows us as members of Parliament to represent our constituents as best as possible. The pages' hard work, devotion and enthusiasm during busy question periods or late-night debates is especially impressive, considering that the pages have had to balance a full academic schedule along with their duties here. Being a page is an extraordinary and special experience. To be able to spend a year in this distinguished institution at such a young time in their lives is indeed a rare and special opportunity. As their time as pages comes to an end, I know that they will have fond memories and new friends for life. On behalf of my colleagues, I would like to thank the pages for their dedication, loyalty, and hard work, and I wish them all the best in their future endeavors.
The Honourable Member for Pontiac.
Mr. Speaker, on National Aboriginal Day, it is essential that we focus on the beauty and preservation of those Indigenous languages that are critically endangered. Les citoyens gallocains du Pontiac.
The Algonquin people of Pontiac are working very hard to preserve their dialect and their language, and I want to ensure them that all Canadians support them.
Kije namigonan, kiji, mama wo wido koda yiyeng, wakadikame, kiji nagati jong, aki kaje awesinzo, kukina kego, pema dizimago, anishina bemowen, kiji ega ungo ashko, wido kodadida kakena, anashina bomenoa, apidinda moda, odaying, onzika, miigwech, thank you, merci.
The Honourable Member for Tellez de Blainville. Mr. Speaker, this year's celebrations of the 150th anniversary of Confederation are a great time to party with friends and family, but also the perfect opportunity to discover Canadian heritage and traditions. And we will all have that opportunity in Tellez de Blainville on Thursday, July 6th at the Blainville Equestrian Park with a show by the RCMP Musical Ride. The musical ride is part of the heritage and traditions of the RCMP, and it contributes to raising funds to help local charitable and non-profit organizations. It's with joy and enthusiasm that I look forward to discovering these elite riders who keep this tradition alive. I invite everyone in Tellez de Blainville and the surrounding area to join us for this show, and I'm convinced, Mr. Speaker, that it's going to wow us. It's going to remind us of the history of our mounted police. That's July 6th in Blainville.
Honourable Member for Caribou Prince George.
Mr. Speaker, it's the first day of summer, and I'm pleased to announce that my second favorite season is once again upon us. That's rodeo season. Whether it's roping, saddle bronc bull riding, or the wild horse race, rodeo is in my blood and gets us all excited this time of year. And it just so happens that we have some of the world-class events taking place right in my riding. The 91st annual world-famous Williams Lake Stampede, the 44th annual Billy Barker Days, and 52nd annual Quesnel Rodeo, and the Anaheim Lake Stampede. The Caribou puts on some of the finest rodeo events in North America. Visitors come from far and wide to enjoy the fast-paced, exciting action, witnessing the true can-do, never-say-no pioneering spirit and experiencing good old-fashioned but world-class hospitality of the Caribou. From our crystal-clear lakes, rivers, and streams, incredible mountain and outdoor adventures, and fast-paced rodeo activities, my riding has it all. I'm so proud to live and represent the good old riding of Caribou Prince George. Mr. Speaker, let's saddle up and ride into the summer.
The Honourable Member for Longueuil, Charles Lemoine. Mr. Speaker, on June 24th, myself and all Quebecers will celebrate Quebec's national holiday. For 183 years now, this annual celebration has been the symbol of the pride of a great people whose language and culture continues to enrich Canada's social fabric. It's also a symbol of the openness and inclusivity of today's Quebec. Indeed, exactly 40 years ago, this day, which was previously reserved to a specific celebration of St. John the Baptist, was declared the national holiday of all Quebecers, whatever their origins or beliefs. Mr. Speaker, whether it's part of our heritage or the home we've chosen, Quebec's culture enriches us all. Let's celebrate it. Happy Fête Nationale.
The Honourable Member for Northwest Territories.
Merci, Mr. Speaker. Jean Gangwin Quotek et Ashitira Massi. Tutsa la Jean Fenekele Kutli, Ralakenta A. The Hende Padenesu. Tutsa National Indigenous Peoples Day, along Kele Kwa, Inende Kuli. Mr. Speaker, it's also true that we are stronger and more successful when we work together as partners. Our commitment to building a new relationship and supporting and improving outcomes for Indigenous people and promoting reconciliation in Canada is something we should all be proud about and be dedicated to seeing succeed. National Indigenous Peoples Day is an opportunity for all Canadians to celebrate the rich and diverse cultures of Aboriginal people and the wealth of traditions, lifestyles, and languages they bring to our country. The NBT has recognized National Aboriginal Day as a statutory holiday since 2001, and this year the Yukon will be joining us to celebrate National Indigenous Peoples Day. Happy National Indigenous Peoples Day, everyone. Thank you.
Honourable Member for Kamloops Thompson Caribou.
Today is the 21st annual National Aboriginal Day, which next year will be called National Indigenous Peoples Day. It is an opportunity to honor the rich traditions, heritage, and diverse cultures of the Inuit, Métis, and First Nations peoples in Canada. Growing every year, celebrations will be held across Canada. For many, including in Ottawa, it started with a sunrise ceremony on the summer solstice. As the sun came up, a smudging ceremony, prayers, and then an opportunity to enjoy the dancing, drumming, and singing, a very special start to the day. I encourage all Canadians to participate in celebrations today and learn more about the immense contributions of Indigenous peoples to Canada. In 1910, the chiefs from the BC Interior wrote then Prime Minister Wilfrid Laurier. In their words, quote, "What is ours will be theirs, and what is theirs will be ours. We will help each other to be great and good." May we all aspire to reach their vision for Canada as we move forward together.
The Honourable Member for Moncton Riverview Dieppe. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize Parliament Hill. More than a collection of stone, mortar, wood, and nails, I rise on behalf of all Canadians to give thanks to those who do far too much on our behalf. To the researchers, the chefs, the servers, our security, maintenance, the tour guides, the groundskeepers, the operational staff, and tech support, and everyone who ensures that this institution works despite how crazy it can get here, we thank them. To our staff here and back home in our ridings working for us, thank you for the work you do for democracy. And finally, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the Pages, individuals from across Canada who are here to participate in our democracy in a way that few Canadians will have the opportunity or the privilege. On behalf of my colleagues, thank you for your time, your energy, your professionalism, and your service. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I wish each and every one a happy Canada Day. Thank you.
Honourable Member for Windsor-Tecumseh.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise on this National Indigenous Peoples Day to honour the impact of Indigenous women as nurturers, protectors of the great turtle who lets us live on her back, nurturers who relentlessly seek reconciliation through social justice. This fiery spirit was captured in the life and achievements of Shannon Kustashian of Attawapiskat First Nation. I celebrate her today and those who continue her fight. At 13 years of age, Shannon confronted the shabby conditions of her school, the mold, the rodents, the poisoned drinking water. She said enough and led what became a national campaign on social and print media and in front of Parliament to pressure the federal government into building a new school in her community. And it did. Shannon's life ended 2 years later in an automobile accident. She was 15. And by then she was renowned across North America as a passionate fighter for the rights of Native children. On this day, may her spirit sing in this chamber, even as it rebukes the false promises of the past. Let it instill a new resolve.
The Honourable Member for Prince George, Priest River, Northern Rockies.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to recognize an individual and friend from Prince George. This individual and former hockey coach was on his way home to Prince George when he noticed a fellow passenger was in distress and fell unconscious. The former hockey coach sprung into action and performed life-saving chest compressions, saving the person's life. The passenger, once back in Vancouver, had to be defibrillated twice more. Due to his quick thinking, this Prince George resident's actions, a person is alive today. We can't thank individuals like this enough, for as he said, I don't think we did anything different than anyone else would have done. The individual I'm recognizing today is our friend and now life-saving colleague, the member from Caribou, Prince George.
The Honourable Member for Dartmouth Cole Harbour.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize Parliament Hill. More than a collection of stone, mortar, wood and nails, I rise on behalf of all Canadians to give thanks to those who do far too much on our behalf. To the researchers, chefs, servers, our security, maintenance, the tour guides, the groundskeepers, operational staff, and tech support. To all the staff who ensure that this institution functions despite the occasional insanity, I thank you. To our staff here and back home in our constituencies, working tirelessly on behalf of all Canadians, thank you. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, to the Pages, individuals from across Canada here to participate in our democracy in a way few Canadians have the opportunity or the privilege to do. On behalf of my colleagues, thank you for your time, your energy, your professionalism, and your service. Thank you for all you do.
Colleagues, please allow me to add my thanks to the Pages, to the procedural clerks, to all the staff of the House of Commons, the Library of Parliament, and the Parliamentary Protective Service, and wish everyone a good summer whenever it comes. Oral questions, questions orales. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, national security experts say that they are concerned by the Prime Minister's efforts to weaken our national security laws, and because he's creating more obstacles for law enforcement agencies. The former CSIS leader said that because of legislative changes, it will be more difficult for the agency to analyze potential threats. Is the Prime Minister ready to listen to the advice of experts and improve his bill? Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we are very open to suggestions, amendments, and improvements that may be proposed to the national security issue, because we understand how much of a delicate balance this is and how important an issue it is for Canadians. We aim to protect the security of individuals and families while protecting the rights and freedoms of Canadians. That's what we will always try to do, and I encourage the members across the way to participate fully in our process of evaluating this bill.
Well, Mr.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Minister's indication that he's open to amendments because many of the national security experts are raising the alarm over a specific attempt to water down some of these national security laws. Several of our European allies are now dealing with the threat of terrorism on literally a weekly basis. And the fact is that Canada is not and will not be immune to this threat. So will the Prime Minister specifically be open to restoring the proactive ability for our national security agencies to disrupt terrorist threats when mere minutes matter?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, no one in this House takes lightly the responsibility we all share, particularly on the government side, to keep Canadians safe in their homes, in their communities, when they travel. We are very much focused on that, while at the same time understanding that Canadians expect and deserve to be reassured that their rights and freedoms will also be respected. Getting that balance right is extraordinarily important, and I look forward to robust discussions with all parties in this House, all members in this House, hearing from experts as we move forward on getting that balance right, keeping Canadians safe and protecting our rights.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, everyone is telling the Prime Minister to stop increasing taxes on Canadians. Yesterday, the Senate, which has a Liberal majority, made it understood that it doesn't support the new tax on beer and wine. And they're right. This is a tax that will increase every year indefinitely. Will the Prime Minister listen to his own Liberal senators and cancel the tax hike that will hurt the people he claims to help? Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, the first thing that we did when we came to power was to lower taxes for the middle class and increase them for the wealthiest 1%. That was a commitment that we made during the election, and it's something that we delivered on in our first time in Parliament. Unfortunately, the opposition voted against those changes. We will always aim to lower taxes for the middle class because that's how you create a strong country.
Looking for ways to cut taxes for the middle class, he can abandon his new tax hikes. He just keeps saying things that aren't true. He should read his own budget. New taxes on beer and wine, taxes on bus passes and carpooling, new user fees for essential government services, a carbon tax. You know, these aren't taxes on the 1%. These are taxes on hard-working middle-class families. When will the Prime Minister stop attacking the very people he claims to help?
Honourable Prime Minister.
The very first week, Mr. Speaker, in this Parliament, we lowered taxes for the middle class and raised them on the wealthiest 1%. It was a campaign commitment. It was something that we promised to do, and we delivered in our first week. Unfortunately, the party opposite chose to vote against lowering taxes on the middle class and raising them on the wealthiest 1%, because for 10 years they gave boutique tax cuts and advantages to the wealthiest alone. We are focused on lowering taxes for the middle class, and that, Mr. Speaker, is what we will stay focused on.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition. Order.
Mr. Speaker, unprecedented multiple investigations into his unethical behavior, selling off of strategic Canadian assets to communist China, dangerous criminals going free because of judicial delays, out-of-control spending and new tax hikes on the middle class, lavish vacations and moving expenses paid for by the taxpayer, a litany of partisan appointments to non-partisan independent offices. Now, Mr. Speaker, the Liberals campaigned on a lot of things, but can the Prime Minister tell me on what page of his platform I can find a list of all these things that I just mentioned?
The Prime Minister.
Campaign on a platform of growth for the middle class and support for those working hard to join it. And Mr. Speaker, on that, as the deputy member will see as he looks through those pages, we delivered. We lowered taxes on the middle class and raised them on the wealthiest 1%. We delivered a Canada Child benefit that gives more money to 9 out of 10 Canadian families and will lift hundreds of thousands of kids out of poverty. Massive investments in infrastructure so Canadians can get to and from work on time, investments in social housing, investments in childcare, investments in our senior. That's what we can.
Order. I don't usually call out members for heckling unless they've been persistently doing it. Order. And I don't think there's a few candidates already, so I hope that they'll restrain themselves. Honorable député d'Outremont.
The honourable member for Outremont.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister used to attack Stephen Harper for taking Indigenous people to court, but he's contemptuously picking up exactly where Harper left off, fighting First Nations kids in court. The Prime Minister used to say that with a Liberal government, boil water advisories would be a thing of the past, but that hasn't happened either. He once said that we must implement the UN Declaration on Indigenous People into law, but then he betrayed that commitment as well. How can he be proud of that record?
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to take this occasion to wish everyone in this House a happy National Indigenous Peoples Day. The day we celebrate today, we recognize that the partnership with Indigenous peoples, the spirit of true reconciliation, and the hard work we have to do together continues. We have ended 20 long-term boil water advisories, but we know full well there is much more to do. We are committed to ending all boil water advisories by 2021. We are opening new schools and refurbishing older schools so that First Nations community children can get a good education, but there is much more to do. We recognize there is more to do.
The honourable member for Outremont. During the election campaign, the Prime Minister claimed that he was a champion of democratic reform. But that was before he formed a majority government with only 39% of the votes. The Prime Minister also claimed that he was a defender of access to information. I believed it myself. But that was before his government discovered all the benefits of hiding information from the public and the media. How can we trust this Prime Minister when he talks about principles and values? Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, as a government and also as a political party, we have moved forward on transparency and openness. We have encouraged proactive disclosure of parliamentary spending. And that was when we were the third party. And the Conservatives quickly followed. The NDP was never interested in that. They didn't want to show leadership and openness, which Canadians expect from all parties. We continue to demonstrate openness, transparency, and accountability, and that's what Canadians expect.
For Outremont.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister constantly says that he's helping the middle class, but his infrastructure bank would impose tolls and fees on the middle class. And why? So that private companies can make a profit off of public infrastructure. The government should be focusing on building more bridges and roads, not adding to the profit margins of rich investors. So where did the Prime Minister get his mandate to impose new fees on the middle class without saying so during the campaign? Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, this was written very clearly in our election platform. We said that we would create an infrastructure bank that would help innovate and help us deliver the infrastructure that the middle class needs. The middle class needs reliable public transit. They need affordable housing. They need assistance and investment in roads and bridges. And we are making historic investments, $180 billion over 10 years. And the other party couldn't offer that.
Come on.
Speaker, the Prime Minister seems to believe that because the Liberals got 40% of the vote, it's okay if they only keep 40% of their promises. It's not okay. The Prime Minister has been illegally lobbied during his Cash for Access events, and instead of ending this scheme, he tries to attack the opposition. My question for the Prime Minister is, does he understand the problem with exchanging access to government, that's right, government, with payments to the government's political party? And please spare us the strongest laws in Canada talking point for once.
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians expect any government and any political party to follow the strong rules we have in place, and that's exactly what we're doing. But more than that, we decided, as we often do on this side of the House, to raise the bar on transparency and openness, which is why we are opening up our fundraisers, making sure that they happen in public places, making sure that the media gets to come see what we're doing. The fact is, we encourage and exhort the members opposite to have the same level of transparency with Canadians in regards to their donors and their fundraising events as we have.
Order. The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With the vote that happened last night in the Senate, the Finance Minister has a golden opportunity to reevaluate one of his poor decisions. We know that this government is a specialist in taxing Canadians, but here's an innovative one, the escalator tax on alcohol. It's a bad idea because the tax will automatically increase every year without ever having been voted on. Mr. Speaker, will the Prime Minister do what needs to be done and withdraw this elevator tax? Right Honourable Prime Minister. I thank the member for Louis Saint Laurent for having recognized our specialization in tax, because we lower taxes for the middle class and we increase them on the wealthiest 1%. That was something that we believed in and profoundly. We want to help middle class Canadians by giving them a bit of money back into their pockets. That's good for the economy in general, and it's unfortunate that this member and his party voted against the lowering of taxes for the middle class and increasing them for the wealthiest. The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent. Increasing the tax on alcohol, increasing taxes on tobacco, creating new taxes for citizens, setting aside the tax credits that our government brought forward, eliminating the public transit tax credit. This is the legacy of the Liberal government. So yes, we stand for the middle class. We stand for workers. Why is the government maintaining this escalator tax that will increase every year without the government ever having put it to a vote? The government needs to get rid of this escalator tax. This is what Canadians want. The Right Honourable Prime Minister. For 10 years, Mr. Speaker, the members across the way had the opportunity, while in government, to show that they were on the side of the middle class, that they were on the side of workers. But they didn't do that. Instead, they gave opportunities and tax cuts to the wealthiest, rather than really helping the middle class and those working hard to join it. We know that after those 10 years of poor economic growth, we knew that we would have to invest in the middle class and in infrastructure the people need. That is exactly what we did, and that is what we will continue to do, Mr. Speaker.
For Lakeland.
Mr. Speaker, he'll just say anything. The Liberals keep slapping more tax on hardworking Canadians. That's the fact. Their recent escalator tax on beer, wine, and spirits is setting a scary precedent. It means this specific tax will continue to rise every year forever. The Senate Finance Committee said yesterday this type of tax hike is a bad idea. Will the Prime Minister finally agree that raising taxes on middle-class Canadians is the wrong thing to do and cork this tax?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, what's disappointing is the member's office had an opportunity to vote in favour of lowering taxes on the middle class and raising them on the wealthiest 1% and chose not to. They voted against our plan to put more money in the pockets of 9 million Canadians by asking the wealthiest 1% to pay a little bit more. They skipped that opportunity, Mr. Speaker, but we campaigned on it, we've delivered on it, and we're going to stay focused on lowering taxes for the middle class.
And I have to the Honourable Member for Lakeland.
But, Mr. Speaker, the Liberals are hiking taxes on everything. Since 2015, they've added a carbon tax, which will make everything more expensive for everyone. They've added a payroll tax, harming small businesses. They're even planning to tax the internet. Now they want to add a never-ending tax on beer, wine, and spirits. What is next? Will the Prime Minister finally agree that raising taxes on middle-class Canadians is the wrong thing to do and cork this tax?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the member opposite mentioned the price on carbon, and that's an extremely important part of our vision for how to strengthen the future in meaningful ways. Canadians know that we have to be a strong economy and a protected environment at the same time, while creating the kinds of jobs and innovation that Canadians need right across the country. I respect the members opposite for having finally accepted that climate change is real and that we need to reach our Paris targets. I just look forward to seeing how they're going to do that, or how they propose to do that, because 10 years of complete inaction on the environment needed to be turned around.
Honourable order. The honourable member for Foothills.
When you put in a carbon tax, who pays for that carbon tax? Everybody. But, Mr. Speaker, yesterday I was pleased to see the Senate Finance Committee agree to repeal the Liberals' dangerous, unfair, and never-ending tax hike on beer, wine, and spirits. Unlike the Prime Minister, who refuses to listen to Canadians or learn from the mistakes from his father, the Senate Committee made the right decision for Canada. Will the Prime Minister agree that raising taxes on middle-class Canadians is a bad idea? Will he cork this tax?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to answer the member opposite's first question, which is about who pays for the carbon price. The fact is that people who continue to pollute, who don't realize that being more efficient is better for our economy, will end up paying a little bit more, and we will be able to encourage positive behaviours of reduction. However, I can reassure the member opposite, and indeed all Canadians, that any revenue that comes in from pricing on carbon will remain in the jurisdiction in which it's collected, because that means it's fair for everyone right across the country. That's the kind of leadership on the environment and the economy that Canadians expect after 10 years of inaction by the other guys.
Order. The honourable member for Foothills.
Mr. Speaker, Canada Day is just around the corner, and many middle-class Canadians will be celebrating with a great craft beer or a nice glass of wine. But the Liberal plan is to crash Canada's party with a never-ending, always escalating tax increase on beer, wine, and spirits. What it comes down to, Mr. Speaker, is middle-class Canadians cannot afford another Liberal tax hike. Will the Prime Minister agree? Canadians already pay their fair share. Right. And increasing our taxes on middle-class Canadians is a bad idea. Will you cork this tax?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I appreciate the highlighting of Canada Day coming up, and I know that I, and my family, like many Canadians, will spend much of the summer visiting our national parks, which are completely free for everyone during this Canada's 150th birthday. Furthermore, families will be able to do that with a little more money in their pockets, because we have lowered taxes on the middle class, raised them on the wealthiest 1%, and delivered a Canada Child benefit that puts more money tax-free every month in the pockets of middle-class Canadians by stopping sending their child benefit checks to millionaires.
The honourable member for Abitibi Bay James Nunavik-Gayu.
We Guajma Jim Hella and Schnabel Jim Guajma and Schnabel Tangated Call you to go guided Gis Gajis Satan Satama Tangashingasho Gis and Schnabel can go with Doda Penishoy Gisingasho Satamanu.
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
I would like to thank the member opposite for his words and wish I had the capacity to understand the strong culture and language that he shared with us today. This, on National Indigenous Peoples Day, is a day to reflect on reconciliation, on the work we have begun, but the amount of work that remains to do on the path forward that we need to recognize and build forward on. I thank the member for his question and look forward to working with him on the path to true reconciliation.
From Nanaimo, the member from Nanaimo, Ladysmith.
And I wish this House could translate Canada's original languages.
Bravo.
As this government blocks removing gender discrimination from Canada's Indian Act, we see examples of violence against women everywhere. Despite a national inquiry into the tragedy of murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls, the reality on the ground for women has not changed. The government will build just 5 new on-reserve violence shelters in 5 years. That's deeply inadequate. When will this Prime Minister put real money into his most important relationship and end violence against Indigenous women?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we invested in our very first budget $8.4 billion towards Indigenous peoples in our first budget, but we know there is much more to do, which we followed up with in Budget 2017. In terms of violence against Indigenous women, we launched a national public inquiry into the missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, which continues its work, and we always look at better ways to respect and protect women, particularly Indigenous women, from the violence they unfortunately continue to face all too often. We will work together in partnership, in respect with Indigenous people.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Signal Hill.
Mr. Speaker, in the 2015 election campaign, this Prime Minister made a number of promises just so he could get elected. He promised electoral reform. That promise was broken. He promised a revenue-neutral middle-class tax cut, and we all know what happened to that. That promise was broken. He promised small $10 billion deficits. That promise has been broken. So I have a simple question to the Prime Minister. When is he going to balance the budget?
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, in our election campaign, we campaigned on real change and growth for the middle class, and that's exactly what we're delivering. We actually delivered that middle-class tax cut by raising taxes on the wealthiest 1%, and unfortunately that member and his entire party voted against it. We continue to understand that what Canadians need is growth and investment in our future, and we're beginning to see the real results of our investments in record numbers of jobs being created, in opportunities for young people, in infrastructure projects that are historic in their scope and nature. This is
Honourable Member for Lévis-Lotbinière. Mr. Speaker, in an interview with the media, the Prime Minister admitted that he had no idea when Canada's astronomical deficit would be paid down. It's completely unacceptable for all of us and for future generations. I think it's clear, like father, like son. Mr. Speaker, we have a right to know. How many more years will it take before Canada balances the budget? Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we have a responsible approach that is based on the knowledge that we need to create economic growth for the middle class. That's something that the party across the way was not able to do for 10 years. Our investments in infrastructure will help families get to work and get back home again in a very efficient manner. Our investments in social housing will put more money into people's pockets. We've lowered taxes, and we've created the Canada Child Benefit that is helping 9 families out of 10, and which has lifted hundreds of thousands of children out of poverty across the country. We are delivering on our ambitious plan to help the middle class and those working hard to join it.
Lethbridge.
Well, Mr. Speaker, another non-answer. I'm extremely worried for Canada's young people. The Liberals should be focused on creating an environment of economic prosperity and making sure the next generation is set up for success. However, instead, this government is racking up debt with no plan whatsoever to balance the budget. In fact, the Liberals are about to set a record as the most expensive government in history outside of war or a recession. Now, that's a huge bill being piled up for the next generation to pay off. My question is simple, and they say the third time is the charm. So my question is this: in what year will the Prime Minister balance the budget?
Honourable Prime Minister.
I appreciate the belated focus that the member's opposite finally have on Canadians' young people. But the fact is, we know that what young people want in this country is investments in our future that both build the economy and protect us in climate change. Investments in innovation that are going to create good jobs for the next generation. Help for young people to be able to not have to pay back their student loans until they're making $25,000 of income. More help in upfront grants for our students. These are the kinds of things we're doing for young people that will build on a strong future for us all.
Order. The honourable member for Foothills and others
No
are
open
persistently
entry.
heckling. I'd ask them not to. Order. The honourable member for Sarnia-Lambton.
Mr. Speaker, it's no wonder the Liberal government is having such a difficult time in getting their budget bill passed. Everyone can see their wasteful spending, their sneaky tax increases on the middle class and those too poor to join them, and their out-of-touch priorities. They spend billions for Chinese investors and Liberal friends, but only $20 million a year to reduce violence against women in Canada, and not even $4 million a year for the Canadian Autism Partnership. With all this out-of-control spending, in what year will the Prime Minister balance the budget?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, I'm kind of disappointed that the member opposite thinks our approach on taxes is secret, so let me repeat it. We lowered taxes on the middle class and raised them on the wealthiest 1%. Haven't you heard? Unfortunately, the members opposite voted against our proposal that lowers taxes on the middle class because for 10 years they focused on giving tax breaks and advantages to the wealthiest Canadians. That's not what Canadians want. That's not what Canadians voted for. That's why we're moving forward in the ways that Canadians expect us to.
The honourable member for North Island, Powell River.
Mr. Speaker, the Liberals have so mismanaged the process of selecting a new Commissioner of Official Languages that the office currently lacks the ability to do anything. Without a Commissioner, the office falls into a legal state known as functus. Sounds appropriate. They can't sign papers, deliver reports, or begin investigations. When they could have easily extended the interim Commissioner's term, why have the Liberals chosen to leave the office completely functus?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, our two official languages are at the heart of this party's identity and of the identity of Canadians. Our government promised Canadians a rigorous, open, transparent, merit-based process for public appointments. This will result in the recommendations of high-quality candidates while also achieving gender parity and truly reflecting Canada's diversity. We remain committed to finding the best candidate for the official languages position, and work at the Office of the Official Languages Commissioner is ongoing. An announcement will be made shortly.
The Honourable Member for Drummond. Mr. Speaker, now we thought that the fiasco surrounding the appointment of Ms. Meyer had served as a lesson to the Minister of Heritage, but no, she continues to outdo herself. 4 days today without a commissioner. Even the former commissioner, Graham Fraser, is very angry, and I quote,
"This is an example of a bungled appointment process. I can only think that it reflects a lack of attention, lack of concern for the issue, for the question of official languages. Comment les libéraux?"
How are the Liberals going to get people to forgive them for all of their blunders? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we take our responsibility for defending Canada's official languages in this country. We are the party of official bilingualism. We are going to continue to seek out the best candidates for all the positions requiring nominations, including the Official Languages Commissioner. I can assure the Honourable Member opposite that the work is ongoing. It continues at the Commission as it should be, and we will be making an announcement shortly.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister has been very clear that no relationship is more important to him and to this government than the relationship with First Nations, with Métis Nation, and with the Inuit people. Today, on what will now be known as National Indigenous Peoples Day, can the Prime Minister update the House on the government's plan for the former U.S. Embassy across from Parliament Hill, as well as Langevin Block?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the member for St. Boniface St. Vital for his important question and his strong advocacy on this issue. The residential school area is a dark chapter in our history. The association between Langevin and the Prime Minister's office is inconsistent with a strong partnership with Indigenous peoples. We will therefore be removing that name. Moreover, the former U.S. Embassy will be converted to a space dedicated to and for First Nation, Inuit and Métis peoples, for them to decide how best to use it. This is a powerful symbol of reconciliation right here on the Hill, where we will all pass by it every single day.
The honourable member for Haldeman Norfolk.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the #1 job of a government is to protect the safety and security of the people. But let's look at the facts. NORSAT creates advanced technology that is used by our military to protect the security of Canadians. By allowing Hytera Communications, a Chinese company with a bad track record, to buy NORSAT is a risky decision. So this deal, by definition, is a security risk. So when will the Prime Minister wake up, smell the coffee, and cancel this deal?
Here, here. Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as I've said repeatedly, every single transaction that falls under the Investment Canada Act is carefully assessed by all national security agencies. In this particular case, our agencies also consulted with key allies, including the United States. Our national security experts assessed the deal and the technology and concluded there were no national security concerns. Mr. Speaker, I can reassure all members in this House and all Canadians that we take defending our national security extremely seriously.
The Honourable Member for Mégantic-L'Érable. Mr. Speaker, the biggest fear for innovative companies in our regions is seeing their products copied and reproduced without their consent. Now, we know that the Chinese government has encouraged this practice for decades. This has cost our companies a great deal. With the Liberal government, no need to hide anymore. The Chinese government isn't copying anything, it's simply buying high-tech companies like NORSAT. To hell with secrets, we're giving them access to the source code, Mr. Speaker. When will the Prime Minister cancel the transaction and order a complete national security review? The Right Honourable the Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we take national security and the recommendations of our security agencies very seriously. Contrary to the previous government, we are firmly resolved to promote openness and transparency, and that's why for the first time our government has published the number of reviews on national security that the Cabinet analysed under the Act. We have also made public the guidelines for reviews on national security so that Canadians can see how rigorous this process is. We have no lessons to learn from the members opposite.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister was only too happy to rubber stamp the sell-off of BC's largest chain of retirement homes to Onbong Insurance to appease his friends in Beijing. And now, with Onbong under criminal investigation and their politically well-connected chairman, Mr. Wu, having been disappeared, the Prime Minister continues to endorse this Chinese takeover. So I ask the Prime Minister, when the Onbong House of Cards finally collapses, who will gain control of these senior care facilities in BC? Are seniors about to find out that their landlord is actually the People's Republic of China?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, our government is open to investment that offers middle-class jobs and opportunities for Canadians. Cedar Tree has confirmed its strong commitment to the ongoing quality of operations in Canada and to its healthcare workers. They will remain subject to provincial oversight on seniors' care facilities, ensuring the rules for the care of seniors continue to be followed, and will keep the current number of full-time and part-time jobs. BC's regulatory regime is robust and imposes rigorous standards of care on operators of residential care and assisted living facilities. We will continue to stand up for Canada's seniors.
Honourable Member for Kamloops Thompson Caribou.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister assured this House that his government had done due diligence regarding the billion-dollar takeover of BC care homes by murky Chinese ownership. Now the company chairperson is in prison. Investigators are looking into allegations of corruption and economic crimes. If this company dissolves, who will gain control of our senior care facilities? Our seniors in my riding get to find out that their landlord is the People's Republic of China.
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we continue to be open to investments from around the world because we know that creating good middle-class jobs, creating services and opportunities to protect Canadians is extremely important. We recognize that BC and all provinces have a strong regulatory regime that oversees and ensures that the care our seniors receive is of top quality, and that is why we continue to work with British Columbia and with all our partners to make sure that Canadian seniors do receive the quality care they need and support they need across this country.
The member for Victoria.
Mr. Speaker, this week the Prime Minister received a dozen letters from jurors across Canada suffering mental health challenges after experiencing trauma from graphic evidence and disturbing trials. Members of all parties have supported Mark Farrant's tireless advocacy on behalf of Canadian jurors. So first, will the Prime Minister stand now and thank every Canadian who has served on juries? And second, will the Prime Minister do everything in his power to work with the provinces to better support Canadians who have suffered from doing their jury duty?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it gives me great pleasure to be able to stand and thank all Canadians who've served on juries, all Canadians who've served their country in so many different ways. As we've seen in the cases of first responders and militaries and military families and indeed jurors, sometimes the effects of the work they're doing on behalf of Canadians can have lasting consequences. That's why in our most recent budget we invested $5 billion in mental health care for the provinces to be able to actually support Canadians who are struggling with mental health issues. This is a matter of extreme importance to us, but indeed to all Canadians, and I thank the member for his...
The honourable member for Essex.
Mr. Speaker, last week the Trade Committee submitted a report on Canadian steel in the industry, and next week the All-Party Steel Caucus will meet officials in Washington. In the report, the NDP recommends that the Liberals implement measures to encourage the use of Canadian steel in infrastructure projects and government contracts. We also recommend that the government defend our ability to promote the use of Canadian steel when negotiating trade agreements like NAFTA. Simple question, will the Liberals implement our recommendations to protect our Canadian steel industry before they renegotiate NAFTA?
Right. Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we take very seriously the responsibility of standing up and defending Canada's interests, and we do so repeatedly at every time we engage with the American administration, including my recent conversation with President Trump. We need to make sure that Initiative 232 is actually excluding Canada because national security investigations has no business looking at Canadian steel when we know that the North American steel market is specialized and integrated and extremely well functioning. We will continue to stand with our American partners against illegal practices from around the world while at the same time we defend Canadian steel workers and their industry.
Member for Carlton Trail, Eagle Creek.
Dwight Duncan has now admitted to intentionally ignoring the Prime Minister's own guidelines concerning partisan activities for his appointees. Once again, the rules don't apply if you're a Liberal donor. This is no surprise as he takes his ethical cues from the Prime Minister himself. Mr. Speaker, the Gordie Howe Bridge is too important to Canada to be left in the hands of someone who has damaged his credibility beyond repair to both sides of the border. To the Prime Minister, will he fire his partisan political hack? Yes or no?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Sir, our government is firmly committed to the Gordie Howe International Bridge. The President and I have both reiterated our strong support for the construction of this project. The new bridge is vital to accommodate future traffic growth because nearly 30% of surface trade between Canada and the U.S. go through Windsor. Mr. Duncan has apologized. We have accepted his apology. We are working to build this important bridge for Canada and America.
Order, order, order. The honourable member for Barrie Innisfil.
Well, Mr. Speaker, is there any surprise that the Prime Minister would endorse that type of behaviour? And it's not bad enough that Dwight Duncan effectively bankrupted Ontario while he was the province's finance minister. As a non-partisan appointee of the Prime Minister, he's been engaged in reckless behaviour on social media. gushing over his Liberal pals, attacking anyone who isn't, and disparaging U.S. officials. Yesterday, Duncan said, "A number of my postings clearly violated the letter and spirit of Parliament's direction." To the Prime Minister, will he fire this partisan political hack, yes or no?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we understand how important the Gordie Howe International Bridge is to the Windsor area, indeed to all of Canada. 30% of surface trade between Canada and the United States goes through Windsor, and we are continued to be committed, and we were pleased to ensure that both the President and I reiterated our support for this project. In regards to Mr. Duncan, he has apologized, and we look forward to continuing to watch his strong leadership as we move this project towards completion.
The honourable member. Much too noisy. Members should show respect for this institution and for those who sent them here. The honourable member for Medicine Hat, Cardston Warner.
Mr. Speaker, we know the Prime Minister visited my riding to star in 2 partisan pep rallies with his Liberal candidate in the days leading up to the October by-election. We have since learned that 2 employees of the non-partisan Privy Council travelled with the PM and provided, quote, comprehensive audio and visual technical support. We also know that the Liberal Party refuses to reimburse the full cost of this trip. Can the Prime Minister explain to taxpayers exactly what government business he conducted on these campaign stops?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as has always been the practice, whenever the Prime Minister travels anywhere, he needs to be connected with the work that the government is doing and accessible to be able to respond to different challenges. That is something that has always been the case and will continue to be the case because a Prime Minister is not a part-time job or even a 9-to-5 job. It's a responsibility I wield with great honour every single minute of the day, and we always need to have the tools in order to be able to serve Canadians. That's exactly what has always been done.
The honourable member for St. Albert Edmonton was heckling throughout that answer. I would ask him to restrain himself. The honourable member for St. John South Mount Pearl.
Mr. Speaker, the people of Newfoundland and Labrador know how important reliable infrastructure is to ensuring a high quality of life. In my riding, cities and towns also know that they have a federal partner working alongside them to deliver better infrastructure for their residents. Can the Minister update this House on the work that the government is doing to build stronger communities in Newfoundland and Labrador? Great question.
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, allow me first to thank the honourable member from St. John South Mount Pearl for his question, for his hard work. And while I'm at it, let me thank all citizens of Newfoundland and Labrador for the incredibly warm welcome they give me every time I have the good fortune of visiting. Our government has now approved 213 projects with a combined investment of more than $665 million across Newfoundland and Labrador. That means good middle-class jobs for the people of Newfoundland and Labrador, safer jobs, and cleaner drinking water. Our government is proud to deliver results for Newfoundlanders and Labradorians.
Well, leader of the opposition.
More and more Canadians are realizing that the Prime Minister's decisions hurt the very people that he claims to help, and nothing underscores this more than his rejection of the Canadian Autism Partnership. Many Canadian families are forced to mortgage their homes to pay for early intervention programs, and more than 80% of adults with autism struggle to find meaningful work, and they're just looking for a little bit of compassion from this Liberal government. When will the Prime Minister finally listen to these Canadians and reverse his cold-hearted decision to reject the Canadian Autism Partnership?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we recognize that autism spectrum disorder has a significant and lifelong impact on individuals and families. Federal investments in research, data improvement.
This side still has one more question. I hope it wants to keep it, and we'll listen to the answers. The right honourable Prime Minister has the floor.
Mr. Speaker, federal investments in research, data improvements, surveillance and training skills are supporting those with autism and their families. There is an extraordinary network of stakeholders across the country raising awareness and providing services to family. Our governments will continue to support those efforts through our programs. We have indeed invested over $39 million in autism research over the past 5 years through the Canadian Institutes of Health Research.
Député d'Outremont.
The honourable member for Outremont.
Promised that, unlike Stephen Harper, he would work with all parties to get good things done. But when a member of this place moved a nonpartisan initiative to create a Canadian Autism Partnership, this Prime Minister and his party voted against it. This is about removing the challenges facing individuals with autism and facing their families. It's about unlocking the tremendous potential of these Canadians. Why can't the Prime Minister move beyond partisan politics and support this important autism initiative?
Right. The right honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we recognize that autism spectrum disorder has a significant and lifelong impact on individuals and families. There is an extraordinary network of stakeholders across the country raising awareness and providing services to families. Our government will continue to support their efforts through our programs. We've invested more than $39 million in autism research over the past 5 years, but in addition, we have made many initiatives that help families, whether it's the Canada Child Benefit, that is increasing support for 9 out of 10 Canadian families, including strengthening the child disability benefit alongside.
The honourable member for Rivière-des-Mille-Îles. Mr. Speaker, South Sudan is grappling with a very serious food crisis. It's affecting half of the population. Recently, the Minister of International Development and the Francophonie traveled to the country, namely to take stock of the efforts of our partners on the ground and to discuss the means undertaken to help people who need it most. Can the Prime Minister update this House on Canada's contribution to help people, the most vulnerable people affected by this terrible crisis? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the member for Rivière-des-Mille-Îles for her question. Our government is very concerned by the humanitarian situation. It is catastrophic. That is why we recently announced $86 million for development projects that will meet the basic needs of the most vulnerable people in the country. We've also created the Famine Relief Fund. Up until June 30th, 2017, Canada will contribute an equivalent amount for every donation by Canadians donating to charities, raising funds to fight famine in the country.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And as I think this whole House can see from the question from the Leader of the Official Opposition and the Leader of New Democrats, and now from me, there is an extraordinary broad consensus on this side of the House that Canadian families, individuals living with autism, really do need more than what we have so far. And I would ask the Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker, if the next answer could contain some hope to those families that help is on the way and that the Canadian Autism Partnership will find support from the current government.
Honourable Prime Minister.
We recognize the extraordinary work that Canadians across the country do to support their loved ones, particularly those living with autism spectrum disorder. We recognize the stories and the compassion that has been shown by people as they share their desire to do more to fight the impacts that autism has on people who live with it. I can recognize that my staff has also met repeatedly with the member from Edmonton, Wetaskiwin, to talk about how we can move forward in concrete ways that will make a difference in the lives of so many Canadians.
I have the honor to inform the House that a message has been received from the Senate informing this House that the Senate has passed the following bill with amendments to which the concurrence of the House is desired. Bill C-44, an act to implement certain provisions of the budget, tabled in Parliament on March 22, 2017, and other measures. Copies of the amendments are available at the table.
It being 3:14 p.m., pursuant to order made on Tuesday, May 30th, 2017, the House will now proceed to the taking of the deferred recorded division on the motion at the third reading stage of Bill C-311 under private members' business. Call on the members. Alors.
Order. Order. Order.
Question est la
The
suivante.
question is as follows. Mr. Fraser, West Nova, seconded by Mrs. Lockhart, moved that Bill C-311, an act to amend the Holidays Act, Remembrance Day, be now read a third time and do pass. All those at my right in favor of the motion will please rise.
Mr. Fraser, West Nova.
Cinquième rangée à ma droite.
Fraser, West Nova.
Throw.
Mr. Jordan. Mr. Johari.
Mr. Johari.
Mr. Kung.
Mr. Kung.
Ms. Khalid.
Ms. Khalid.
Madame Lapointe.
Madame Lapointe.
Monsieur Lefebvre.
Monsieur Lefebvre.
Monsieur Lemieux.
Monsieur Lemieux.
Mr. Levitt.
Mr. Levitt.
Mrs. Lockhart.
Mrs. Lockhart.
Mr. Long.
Mr. Long.
Mr. Longfield.
Mr. Longfield.
Ms. Ludwig.
Ms. Ludwig.
Mr. Maloney.
Mr. Maloney.
Monsieur Massé, Avignon-la-Métis, Matane-Matapédia.
Monsieur Massé, Avignon-la-Métis, Matane-Matapédia.
Mr. McCambridge.
Mr. Cambridge.
Mr. McDonald.
Mr. McDonald.
Mr. McLeod, Northwest Territories.
McLeod, Northwest Territories.
Mr. Morrissey.
Mr. Morrissey.
Madame Nassif.
Madame Nassif.
Ms. O'Connell.
Ms. O'Connell.
Mr. O'Regan.
Mr. O'Regan.
Mr. Peterson.
Mr. Peterson.
Monsieur Picard.
Monsieur Picard.
Monsieur Robillard.
Monsieur Robillard.